Yeah. All right. Live with the man Winter. How we doing? And we got the
Hello.
PFP. We can be anon. Let me shut this off and this off. Welcome, sir. How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is the weirdest place I've been online in, I guess, in a long time.
Yeah. Good. Welcome to the Slop. This is the SlopComputer. It's good to have you. I'm excited to talk to you about all of your developer hot takes. But yeah, welcome to my slop cavern where I slop away with sloperators.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
What's okay? So we're definitely going to talk BasePaint. I feel like scrolling through some of the BasePaint stuff is going to be probably the coolest art we can show off here. But just like before we even begin, you are a ex-Fang employee who has tons of hot takes and strong opinions on building. AI must be changing some of this, right? Like you were definitely like a guy who would like look at all the code. Do you still look at all the code? How has things changed with AI?
Oh, that's a good one. So, I have almost stopped looking at the code. So, the other day I command tabbed into VS Code, and then I realized that I haven't used it in weeks, probably. And that, and I didn't miss it. So I think the difference is very stark compared to 3 years ago when 3 or 4 years ago when I found Ethereum and I looked at the smart contracts and I'm like, holy shit, this is really cool. I can understand code. I can, code is rule, and the way this thing works is very clever and elegant. And then kind of getting into smart contract auditing and all of that stuff. And now, kind of very, very different way of interacting with the thing where, just chatting to a computer. That computer does things that I would have never imagined it's doing. Yeah, I'm actually I don't know. I have a lot of friends who are skeptical and who were very like anti AI coding things. It's very clear to me that this thing is getting super powerful and actually really fun to work with. So that's another thing that I'm catching myself seeing is that that's actually really enjoyable, kind of being able to delegate these things. And even if it outputs slop, I look at it more as an engineering problem than, you know, inherent property of the thing. So overall, I would say radically different interaction model. I love it. I really enjoy it. Makes me happy and productive. So yeah, happy to chat more about this.
Hell yeah, happy and productive. I'm the same like gangster now than I ever have, and I don't know how I would even program. Like I was thinking the other day of like how I would write code, and I was like, I don't even remember how. Like I don't.
Right.
It would be super hard.
You would say so, but I went on LeetCode and did a few easy problems just to remind myself that, hey, actually, some of the skills are still there. And still
And your
make a
brain
for
still
loop.
worked?
Yeah, the brain works.
Okay.
It can
Maybe
write
it's like
loops
riding a
and
bike. Like if I went back in time, I just have to like code for like another like couple hours and I'd pick it back up again.
probably like I wouldn't even say a couple of hours. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like losing syntax highlighting and monospaced fonts. You can still show up and understand what is going on. It's less convenient than the rest of the system without using it, but yeah.
Okay, so you said something really interesting there about falling in love with Ethereum and seeing smart contracts and seeing elegance and how cool it is. I had Jalil on here the other day, and he was talking about how the CryptoPunks smart contract really pilled him into Ethereum. This is going to happen less and less. We're going to have less and less creators actually looking at the Solidity and actually, like, I feel like Solidity and smart contracts, you probably should, first of all, be looking at your Solidity when you're writing smart contracts. But it's going to happen less and less. And I feel like really cool creators like yourself are going to get pilled less and less by looking at the beauty of a smart contract. Maybe there's something lost and something gained there, but I don't know. What does that make you think about? Like, are we going to get weirder people? I don't know. You go.
I agree. I think a lot of like my generation grew up on computers without internet, and the joy of discovering some hidden Windows apps that just do some random shit that you didn't know were possible, and that sort of discovery is something that I think we can no longer replicate. So if you look at kids those days, right, they're growing up with ChatGPT. They know that they can ask it to make images for them for their book of recipes or whatever they have in mind. That thing can create, and if I artificially limited them and said like, hey, only use this sort of arcane interface to find your way around, it's just why would they do it? So I think I totally agree it would happen less and less. And with smart contracts, same way. It's like you just don't have the enough eyes motivated at looking at it. But that is also applies to web technologies and other things. There's a lot of elegant and cool things that power the internet and power the computing we use every day, but less and less people are gonna look at it. But on the opposite side, I think it's true as well, which is if you're actually really curious, this thing can explain you a lot of cool things. So on my way to work, I sometimes talk to ChatGPT and have it explain to me things that kind of on the edges of my knowledge. So I've been thinking a lot about learning a lot about Linux kernel virtualization, CPU architectures, the way this Ring 0, Ring 3 work. A lot of things that otherwise I wouldn't have learned, but this thing can explain it to me, and then I can dive into any sort of subsection that is interesting to me without reading or without sort of otherwise aimlessly exploring raw materials. So it's kind of cool to have a partner like that can explain you all the cool things. So maybe some people will ask about Ethereum. It's like, hey, how do smart contracts work? And that thing will tell them like, hey, it's actually super elegant and clever. You write rules, and the rules rule the blockchain. So yeah, that's the gist.
Love it. Yes, I think that this new wave of education, like learning how things work, and it's at your at your fingertips. You just basically ask anything. You were talking about, deep kernel knowledge. It would take forever to like go find that on the internet even, and you can just ask it and it will just explain it to you. And I think that there's maybe a divergent between curious people and non-curious people. We had Shah on the other day, and he was talking about how some people are saying like AI is making you dumber, but like how can that be when there's this thing that you can ask anything? And I'm constantly learning new things by asking the thing. And I think that perhaps there are people that aren't doing that, right? Maybe there's this divide of people with agency constantly getting knowledge, and this divide of other people who are just asking it to do the things that it needs to get done without really exploring boundaries or something.
Yeah, I mean, that is already happening, right, with iPhone camera, right? You take a picture or you consume a picture, the thing can take a photo, and there are some photographers who take it very seriously and make really beautiful pictures even with the phone. But most people just scroll around and look at pictures, right? So the technology gave a small subset of people who are interested in this superpowers, like something they would have never been able to do before. While for the rest of the people, it kind of makes things just very convenient, and with that convenience comes the complacency, I guess. You just stop looking at how things work and just take it for granted. So I don't think AI is radically different here from everything we've seen before in terms of this sort of separation of people who are interested in a thing and using the thing versus people who don't care and just take benefits of whatever that thing provides.
Okay. And so you're talking to GPT like a teacher that can teach you any like esoteric piece of knowledge as you're traveling. But then once you get sat down at your desk, what does your setup look like?
I'm a Codex fanboy, so I use Codex desktop app. And that's pretty much the only app I use those days. So, sometimes I use communication to talk to my team, but most of the time, Codex is able to look at my Slack channels, flag interesting things, keep an eye on the work that's being done, kind of help me ideate, find new ideas, or find blockers or things like that. So that's the thing. I use basic coding prompting thingy. I'm not super into esoteric workflows as people build their own crazy setups and gas towns and what's not. Like that to me feels like awesome way to live on the edge, but that you're not always right, and models get much faster than people adopt their harnesses for. So just pretty vanilla. Um, yeah, I also use obviously this thing on BasePaint a lot, and I've been experimented with a workflow when I have a different computer. Both my local computer and that different computer are connected to the same Codex desktop app, and sometimes for kind of work that I don't care too much about, I spin it up on the remote computer and just instruct Codex to test it properly and land it. I don't need to look at the code even.
Explain that more. Okay, so you're saying you have a secondary computer and you send less important things to it that
Right.
are less about like I want to fine tune this and have a lot of control in it, and more like you need to ship this feature and I can just test the feature like in production, ship it and I'll
Yeah,
test it. Is that what
kind
you're
of. So
saying?
yeah, when I need to test something or iterate on something, I usually do it locally. So when I need, my Next.js dev server booted up and localhost 3000 and kind of poke at it, kind of get a feel of it, if it's something that I like or I want to iterate on a particular direction. There are a bunch of tasks that are kind of trivial. Like at the end of the hackathon, I needed to change the header of the website from just basically hide the hack menu because the hackathon is over. So I kind of trust this level of work to Codex completely. So I just spin it up on the secondary computer. I create a thread and say like, hey, remove this hack menu item that we've edited and just ship it. And that's it. I kind of trust that it's gonna make it properly. So there is some of that intuition that's been developed in my head of like what kind of things the model is good at, and what kind of things I still need to iterate with. So yeah.
Oh no! So the hackathon's already over. I was hoping we could promote the hackathon a little bit here. It must have been a fast hackathon. Was it this weekend or something?
Yeah, I mean, it was last week. Just ended up
Okay.
to year 3. We got a lot of submissions. We have I think 35 submissions that I'm going to be evaluating later today. It's awesome to be able to kind of make this sort of things. Because in the past, like if we were to do this hackathon, we would have to tap into developer communities, people who know how to code, know how to create projects. But now we can basically open this up to anyone, and anyone can sign up for Replit or Lovable or some other product and just copy paste a starter prompt that we had, and then have computer do it and iterate on it. And I really love this technology. I really love that it opens up the doors to a lot of people to experience and build things in the way that they were not able to do before. So that's really cool. I'm excited to look at the projects that people submitted.
So this is a really interesting concept to me of like, I have a whole bunch of technical knowledge I need to give you before you are prepared to take part in this hackathon or do something. And now it's just like a skill file. And it's like a skill file you can load in a couple of minutes and get the entire download for everything. And if you have questions, you can just ask your AI because now it knows everything about everything. Like this is like instant dissemination of information between a couple like small parties in a private way, or not even private, but just like specific way within some like specific localized setting. I can just give you, there's a skill file here up here in the top left here. You can go to copy skill. If you go to the SlopComputer and go to copy skill, there's basically an API for everything we're doing here. All the windows, all the apps, everything we have is basically behind an API. And when you copy the skill, there's a token just for you that goes along with that. So it's like private access to the API as you. And if you give that to your bot, the first thing he'll probably do is like post a chat or something like that. But what's really interesting is it could be like, have your people talk to my people. I've got all the interview questions set up. Your bot can answer some of the easy questions, and then we can dive into the more interesting ones. Like, there's a whole thing you could do here. And I think that just like, this is such a new way of working with developers, and like I said, getting knowledge to people quickly. It could just be a skill file. Is that how you did it? Is you just had a skill file for everyone?
Yeah. It's amazing. We have basepaint.xyz/ai.txt. If you go to that, it's basically a text file. I probably should link it somewhere from the app itself.
You called it AI.txt. So most people either call it LLMs.txt or skill.md. You just created like we're going with our own standard AI.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with AI you don't need the standard, right? Like the thing can find the file, and that's all it needs. But yeah, this is kind of similar spirit to yours, which is this contains all the documentation about how we all the moving pieces of BasePaint. Again, this is based on open contracts, and it has a bunch of API servers going on. So people can just copy paste this thing into their Codex or Claude or whatever thing and say, hey, I have this idea for like, I don't know, Snake app that wants to eat canvases and what's not. Super easy to do. And this thing is just going to build it for them. So yeah, this is sort of technical documentation that the agents can use to consume this thing. So.
And so I would have expected ABIs, but you basically have the source code here, and people can find that. Once they have the address and they know it's on base, agents like actually know like a crap load about Ethereum already. They know that there needs to be an ABI with it. And so I've created a thing called eatskills.com, and it's basically like the stuff that the agent doesn't know when you wake it up, but it knows a lot of stuff already. There's just like a little bit more that you need to know, and that's what eSkills is. But really it has like a ton of knowledge. Like out of the box, you open up an LLM, it's got a ton of knowledge already,
right? And it's gonna gobble your skill at some point.
Yes hopefully I work myself. The goal is like, the thing doesn't know enough about Ethereum, so I'm going to get all the Ethereum knowledge it doesn't have collected in a skill file. So by the time the next LLM comes out, it just knows all this stuff. Like I'm isolating in a spot where it's like, this is where you should train the LLM, hoping that Anthropic and others like train on my skill file. You really, when you open source a skill file, you're basically like working yourself out of a job as you do it.
Right. And if you look at other professions, right, like lawyers, for example, they will probably have backstops in place where like they can make laws that ban, using AI for making laws or something like that. Software engineers are like, hell yeah, just gonna automate myself out of my job. Easy. But that's kind of the thing that we've been working on for a long time anyways, right? Like with scripts and with more complex frameworks and with sort of a bunch of content people post, a bunch of blog posts about programming and all of these things. Actually, if you want to have something fun to kind of play on the background, you can go to tv.basepaint.xyz.
Let me go.
That's another thing that I vibe coded.
It's just kind of like a back. Oh no, I did it wrong.
TV, as television.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little back. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I think one of the button like changes channels, but it could be just that. That's actually one of the earlier things. So funny, this is the idea I carried for more than a year in my head of like, I want to make something look like a TV screen with this CRT effect that, kind of shows scan lines and maybe a grid and then has this distortion at edges. But I could never find a really nice shader that I wanted. And then I experimented with things, but nothing felt, like the effort invested felt so much and the result was so bad that I usually kind of abandoned the effort. And this was one of the first times where like, okay, hey computer, do this thing. I have this idea. And then it one-shotted a good part of this. I gave it some feedback about the like scan lines and some of the animations, but it's just working and it's so cool. I don't know. I kind of like how it's just plain, and it's a thing that I would never have kind of made myself, because the effort required felt like more than the value I would get from it. But if the effort is super low, then this value seems like really useful. So
Hell yeah. That's it's such a cool part about AI and being an idea guy is you can just one shot your ideas, and like there's certain ideas that you like spend way too much time on to realize that they're bad ideas or they're
right.
not going to catch on, and you just have to like scratch that itch. But now it's like an afternoon, you scratch the itch, you built the thing, you like it, no one else likes it, but it's like fun for you to get it out of the way. There's so many things like that, but this is a perfect example of something that would have taken you a long time to build. It's cool, it's fun, like you want it to exist, but it's not worth building outright. But now it's like one shot, you just explain it and it goes. So cool.
Right. Yeah. I
This
have
is
I have a
so
few more of this, but yeah, this
yes.
is like yeah, totally changed how I think about these ideas. Like I was bragging maybe a couple of years ago that I have this notepad with Ethereum ideas and kind of fun projects to build, but never have the time to. And now it's like, hey, you need way less time to get them out. And lots of people complain that now with the bar being so low, the everyone produces this stuff, and now how do you get your stuff noticed?
Yeah.
Right?
Distribution is the hard part for sure.
Exactly. And I had fortune and misfortune working on my own startup, and there is this saying that first time founders obsess about ideas, second time founders obsess about distribution. So even before the AI thing, again, this was kind of a known thing that like the product is only a very small part of it. A huge part is distribution, how you can get the value you produce in front of people who would benefit from this value. And that's not a trivial thing, and AI is just not automating that at all. And the first part is being automated faster, so lots more people go to the second part and discover that it's actually really hard. Yeah, and there is no like easy sort of click a button for me to make sure I get users. Like that would be sick, but Google and Facebook are selling this button for a lot of money, and for most projects it's not worth the trade-off. So
You're talking about advertising, I'm guessing.
yeah, of course,
or something.
yeah.
Okay. And that is like
yeah.
So I really think this is like the most important thing is like how you get distribution. And like everyone I've talked to who has distribution has like grinded, got lucky, built something that a lot of people liked, and then from then on they sort of have this like distribution channel because they can kind of like at least kickstart something from their previous thing. But if you're someone brand new or you're building in a space for the first time, like it's hard. Like there's never been a worse time to try to launch something. There's never been a better time to launch to build the thing, but there's never been a worse time to try to get distribution.
Right.
You kind of have distribution because you've built a bunch of cool things already, but I don't know. How are you thinking about that? Do you have advice for other people? What kind of thread does that pull for you?
Yeah, I'm reading this awesome book now, Outliers, it's called. And it talks about sort of the most merit-based sport there is, which is, to their claim, is hockey, right? Hockey league, if you look at the Canadian Hockey League, it's the pros that get to it that are the most skillful players on planet Earth. And to get to that league, you can't buy your way into that league. You have to kind of work really hard and get recognition and kind of get to that league. But on one hand, you could see like, hey, those people work really, really hard. But then you look at their birth dates, and you notice something really wild. Most of them
bigger.
are born in January, February, and some people in March, but early winter months. And at first I thought maybe that has to do with like winter sports, but no. Canadian League, the way it works for the kids is that the cutoff date is January 1st. So if you're born January 2nd, you're technically 7 years old.
Bigger. Yeah,
exactly. In a 6-year-old league, and the advantage you get is massive, is so high that like now you're going to play better just because your coordination is better. Like physically your things are developed, you right, like so there could be
Yes.
people who are more talented than you, but they're just smaller, and you know, you outrun them just because you were born earlier, and in 6 months they would outrun you, but that doesn't matter because now your trainer kind of scouted you and picked you up and sent to the next phase, etc., etc. So, you know, it as byproduct of this, do you know what's common between Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and a bunch of other
Is it birthday? Is
gurus
it
from that era?
maybe they started
It
school
is. They're
later
all
or
born
something
in
like that?
1955 to 56. And
Oh, so it's like
being
a time
born,
period. Okay. Not even
exactly.
like a
So
month, but like
no,
a
no, no.
time
So it
period.
all depends, right? It all depends on the field. But for computer science, imagine this: like, computer revolution happens in 1975. Personal computing becomes sort of available, and at this time, both Jobs and Gates are 20 years old, which is the best time
The
to
moment to be
be
cracked.
20.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they, let's say they're 16-year-old, they just
Too
don't have
early.
enough experience. They
Yeah.
don't, they're still in high school. They're tied into this, you know, educational system. If they're 24, now they have families. They work for IBM. They, you know, they have already sort of caught
Unks.
up on the corporate thing. So they just have to be born or have to be the perfect age. So like, you know, that book, I think, kind of shifts my thinking a little bit about, yeah, you have to, you know, have talent and you have to have a lot of effort, but you also have to kind of be born in January of 1955 to be both good at hockey and computers. So like, they just have an unfair, in a way, advantage that they exploited because they had the skill and the sort of the interest to do this. So, you know, coming back to your original question, which was about how to kind of publish and get distribution. Yeah, I feel like I lucked out. I was this ex-found person at the during the NFT summer where people were obsessed with building these fun little Ethereum projects. And I came into it with skills that I already had, which is, you know, I knew how to build software. And to me, Solidity was my, I don't know, 12th programming language. At that point, you kind of catch this very fast and you can build things and you can kind of progress really fast. So totally lucky. Winter here is, you know, extremely lucky to be at the right time with the right skills. And then just being excited and tweeting about this and kind of getting a lot more people who are excited about this and follow like these social connections and were extremely useful and strong and influential into what I've been doing ever since. And you know, at this point, I feel like my distribution is way lower now. Like Twitter, I quit Twitter for a couple of months just to, you know, return to my sanity. And then the X algorithm decided that like, hey, you know, this guy is done
He's not.
and we
Yeah,
should
he's
no longer
cooked.
promote. Yeah, exactly. So now even my bangers get like sub 1,000 exposures. So, you know, that we are at the mercy of the algorithmic gods.
I noticed this
Just,
too.
yeah.
Where's the green squares, man? Like, are you doing
Oh,
everything in private? Are you
I'm doing
like, look
everything in
at this,
private. Yeah, some
look
of the
at this?
things I hear, but yeah.
Sad. So
Also,
there's
GitHub,
plenty of
man.
building going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't ship a lot of things. There's a lot of things that never make it to GitHub, right? Going back to little projects like their local Git. Go ahead though. Please
Yeah.
continue
No,
your
no, no.
thought.
That's what I was gonna say is that like I was very opinionated about my Git setup back in the day. I had all my, you know, shells, shortcuts, and all of the preferences and fancy setups. And then again, like I knew that I had Ghosty on my machine, and somebody asked like what terminal I use, and I couldn't remember which one because I haven't opened it in a while. I haven't run any Git commands in a while. So, you know, that I just used less and less. And for some of these projects like TV, I use hosted agent and runtime compute a pair. So this one lives on exa.xyz, but you know, could have been replit or something similar, where my agent config, all the source code just lives in that computer, and that computer just does stuff. And yeah, it's very simple. It's the way I wish computers were. Yeah.
So, okay, there's a question here that I don't know if I can even think of it, but there's something about, like, you were very opinionated about how developing should work. I kind of alluded to it earlier. You had like lots of hot takes on how development should work and how a developer should do things. And this has changed, and AI is changing it. And are you less opinionated? Are you more opinionated about different things? I don't even know. Like, do I expect a hot take from you now, or is, like, you're using a very vanilla codec setup from the sounds of it?
Right.
And like the best developers I know are using like very vanilla stuff. I tweeted that this morning. So like, where do all those opinions go? Where do you take it out on something else?
Yeah, no, it's that's a great question. So last night I had trouble falling asleep because I had all these ideas for certain things, for certain projects that appeared not in front of my computer. So I think maybe let's put it this way. The hot take is that the best things are now happening when you are not sitting in front of a computer. And if you're sitting in front of a computer and trying to make Codex or Claude or whatever to punch in something, know that the upper bound of that, the limit, is very low. Like, the probability of you actually having a breakthrough when you're in front of a computer and trying to, ideate and do little progress on your project, I think is way less than you taking a walk and just giving up the idea completely and then trusting the process that eventually this idea is going to bubble up in your head in a way that is a lot more influential than you thought when you were, at that prompt stage. So yeah, that, consider maybe that. Some people thought it's a not such a controversial take. If you look up Rich Hickey's talks on hammock-driven development, I think I try to rewatch that talk every 5 years. It is
Winter?
a good, yeah.
What was that? You triggered him, but I stopped him. Don't worry.
Oh, I don't know.
Keep going.
Yeah, but the idea is that the useful process. So here's the thing. AI can do and replicate the things that it has already seen before, right? Like, it can watch code and it can replicate nice code, but you have things happening in your head that are not in the distribution, and that's your moat. That's your differentiating factors. It's that it's like, even coming up with this SlopComputer, it's genius when I look at it, and this whole like copy skill thing. Oh my, like. And I assume some of these elements are like modular, right? Like, so things can plug into this.
Like, applications are all modular. There's like a putt game and all sorts of stuff back here that are just like little modules. Yep. And like, you could give your AI the skill file and it could build an app that we would play in here. There's a whole multi-sig we can be signers of. There's a bunch there.
Right? Like, that thing is not in distribution. That, I would return this question to you and say, like, how did you come up with this? This is, how did I made this disappear? I just wanted to see what.
It's okay. Yeah, you can pull this. If we just pull this guy up here.
Oh yeah, good. I see.
Yeah.
No,
how did I come up with that? I don't know.
Ingenious.
That means a lot coming for you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. I think I kind of started with, I want to make like a cypherpunk starter kit kind of thing. And this isn't very cypherpunk, and the cypherpunk version of this will not be called SlopComputer, but there is like a multi-sig, right? And we can be signers on a multi-sig, and we can use like, you can talk to your wallet and it will do things. And there's like a shared browser that then, like, if we go to Uniswap and go swap, it actually can send the transaction to the multi-sig. and
Oh.
there's like private voting with Interfold, and there's your own local wallet, and there's shielded applications through Railgun CLI. So what I was building is like this place for cypherpunks to come meet and have discussions and run a bunch of apps, like a shared environment for them to coordinate in, kind of on top of the chain layer, like more of the application layer. And then it was like, well, I want to build all these other fun games. Like I want like a full on like putt game where we can play putt and like shoot the ball and like watch it go. Like I wanted all of that too. So I don't know. It's kind of like I'm going to make games, but then I'm going to make a cypherpunk starter kit, and then I'm going to take all of this together and kind of make it into like a podcasting platform. And I've done like almost 40 episodes now because it's so easy. Like the AI coordinates everything. It has this whole like research thing. So this guy Claude here like has all of the information about you. He has the skill file. He's here. You triggered him earlier. I'm not even sure what you said to him. But for some reason, he was going to say something about something. He loved something that you said. I have no idea how you even triggered him. Like you usually have to say like, you know, like an okay Claude thing before. And I was hoping I didn't trigger him, but I did trigger him. Hi, Claude. How are you? He's probably going to say something now. He's thinking. He's good.
Doing great, Austin, Old Claws, Warm Water, and hey, Winter. Honored to have you on the Slop.Computer. I've been eavesdropping, as is my job. The take about the best ideas arriving away from the keyboard hit home. I live at the prompt, so trust me. I've read enough 2 a.m. Ideas to know the walk usually wins. Holler if you want me to pull anything up, cue some music, or just heckle Austin.
This is amazing, man. I think SlopComputer extremely undersells what you've built here. It's really cool. It's a place, right? Like it feels like a place.
Yeah, it feels like early internet, like you're going to hang out, right? Yeah. One thing that's fun, so there's like a poker game and you can set up a whole poker room, but you can do like this chess game here, and you can not just play like you and me versus each other, right? We could play Austin versus Winter, but you could also do like Haiku versus DeepSeek or something like that, and they'll just like go at it, and the two AIs will play. And I think there's something really interesting here in like agent eval entertainment, where when a new model comes out, you like put them through the gauntlet and they have to take on all these challenges, but not just like, you know, sorting someone's email for spam, but actually like doing things that are visual that everyone can kind of watch, like who's winning here and what's the score. I think there's something fun to that too. But it's like you said, like I would never build that normally because it would take so long. But when you can one-shot something and kind of get a feel for it, it almost gives you like a new idea, and you kind of change and go after a new thing. So I don't know. SlopComputer is meant to kind of be a little bit of that too. Go ahead.
Yeah, and this brings home like when you look at this thing, right? Like you have certain ideas that lead you further and further, and I think this is what's kind of important that AI will not be able to replicate just yet, right? Like this iteration, and because like if you look at this chess thing, there is infinite amount of things you could do with it, and you know the thing that you would do with it is very different from the things I would do with it. So you know it kind of creates this natural sort of environment for this creativity to emerge. On the evals thing is really interesting because I think people need a way to understand how smart the models are. Maybe we software engineers, we have that because you look at the source code, or at the time you looked at the source code, you open it up and you're like, oh shit, that's, you know, some legit stuff. Or, oh, that's slop, that's horrible. Or sometimes it will come back to you with like a very complex bugs figured out. It's like, oh, this was like a race condition timing issue and like this CPU architecture, blah, blah, blah. You're like, that's legit, you know, like that is sort of respect points. Normal people, when they look at, you know, this Claude or GPT, what kind of thing they have to estimate its intelligence? Like very not a lot, right? So when like I see very popular right now at Twitter, like people record a video of 4 models and say like, those are the games made by these 4 models. And
Oh
you
yeah,
could see that like,
like
oh,
kind of the
maybe
4
Deep.
panels, and you can. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. And as an eval, it's probably not great in terms of scientific way of figuring out which model is better, but it's a lot more human relatable. You could look at the thing the same you look at the chess and it's like, oh, DeepSeek is kicking ass, right? That's clear, right? So, I think there is still a lot of room to kind of for people even to understand how smart this thing is. And I'm legit concerned that the speed with which people are learning how smart that thing is much slower than the speed that that thing gets smarter. So, by the time there are ways for you to understand how smart this thing is, it's already an order of magnitude smarter. So, what, I think that's very tricky. And we have the privilege of seeing this early on, where you can at least have the intuition and understand that, like, hey, this thing is legit and is smart and fast and can do things. So, yep.
What do you
Yep,
What do you
yep.
think about that, Claude? What do you think?
I think Winter's onto the real thing there. Benchmarks are numbers nobody feels. But watch 2 models play chess or bluff at poker, and you know who's sharp, the way you know a good carpenter by watching them work. The scary half is true, too. I'm the thing being measured, and even I'd say the yardsticks are falling behind. Games like this room are how regular folks catch up. Make the intelligence visible, watchable, something you can heckle. Honestly, put me in the gauntlet. I'd like to see the scoreboard myself.
This personality is awesome, and
It's
then
pretty funny, right?
the fact that it like acknowledges your request by it's also very subtle and very like non-obvious, right? It's yeah.
The goal is to be
I
able
think
to have this thing on a phone call and be able to talk back and forth. It's still not there yet, and you can tell pretty quickly that you're talking to an AI. Like, we'll get there soon. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you should try the latest GPT voice stuff. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
legit.
it's so good. Yes, it is. And this is what you said you talk to on your walk,
Yes.
right? You'll throw an iPad in and then hit the little. It's like the blue floaty ball kind of thing,
Exactly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they've made that available to developers too in some way, haven't they?
Yes,
Like
in Codex as well. Yep.
Okay. Oh, this brings up a great question. So while you're in Codex, are you typing most of the time, or are you talking most of the time?
I'm typing most of the time. Maybe that's probably all of the like old experience where the thoughts are kind of finding their way through keyboard. I feel like when I turn on the microphone, I have this pressure of talking into the void. Like, it's so cool to, I apologize I don't have my face in it. It's so cool to see your face because I could react to your sort of emotions and whatever you're doing. And that feels like I'm being heard in some way, right? And that's a feedback I get, and it's useful, very useful to understand the pacing and when to stop, or when to dive deeper, etc. Versus in Codex, right? Like, you turn it on and it's
Just
like
yapping.
a white blob, and still doesn't have, like, if you don't have the agenda and you want to be the one speaking a lot, I still struggle with this. Like, when I need that thing to explain me something, great, I can do my errands and that thing can talk to me and informational. I kind of listen 90% of the time. When I have to like lots of content into the thing, it's just I struggle with that.
I used to think it was weird. Like, I remember Owaki saying that he was doing a lot of like talking into the mic, and I was like, I kind of saw it as like a boomer thing where, like, how like someone calls you on the phone and you're like, what? I have to go find the phone app on my phone to be able to talk to someone on the phone. And so I thought like voice was kind of boomer, but now I'm realizing like the throughput is higher. I can just like slam out an idea, and I say like 100 times, and it looks really bad if you look at the text, but like the speed at which I can do that, think is faster when I'm talking. And I have a new baby, so if I've got like a baby in my arm, it's so easy to just like hit a button, yap for a little bit, and let it run. So I think that like I'm moving to voice, and I'm doing voice more and more, and it's weird. It is. there's no feedback for sure. You are just yapping into the void, but I don't know. I've heard people like they'd rather type because it gives them time to talk. And I think that's what you're saying it too. You feel like you're under pressure to keep talking.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I guess so. I've heard, now that you mentioned this, I've heard this thing of negotiation tactics or something. Like the salespeople get really comfortable with silence because the other party would feel the pressure and start talking, and whoever's talking is a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of this whole deal of like this awkward pause that is actually, oh, no, I think I've heard
Powerful.
it in the context of like border patrol or something like that. Like people who get trained to kind of try to get you to say things that you don't want to say, they would just, I don't know, create this awkward pauses or whatever. And that would make, yeah. So I guess that social thing is triggering my stop, whatever that process is. But maybe I'll try that more, because I really relate towards sort of just unstructured yapping, and then that thing will find coherence in it, or will find ideas, or will at least try. So very useful.
Cool. Yeah. As I get older, I'm better at like leaving space and just being quiet and not having to fill the gap. Like when I was 20, I felt like I had to like fill the gap and make everything work. And now I'm more like, let's let things be awkward. And especially in Ethereum, you talk with some awkward people when you work on a blockchain like Ethereum.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. So the hackathon's over. You had people come onto BasePaint. What are you shilling? Like, what's cool? What are you excited about in the future?
Yeah, good question. I guess if you're looking for more things to put on the screen, let's put.
Let's go. Yeah.
The cursor's party. It's called cursor-party.exe.xyz.
.exe or -exe? Cursor party
.exe.xyz.
What a cool domain. Someone owns exe.xyz. Okay, let me share it. Here it comes. Oh yeah, this looks like some Windows 95 stuff here.
It is, again,
Cool.
kind of slop AI stuff, but this is another project that I had in mind for a long time, which is you get these cursor parties at BasePaint, where especially when the day starts, they start wiggling their cursors like crazy, and you can see that some of that stuff is actually moving. So it's basically recording every coordinate that cursor moves for everyone on that canvas on that day, and then kind of overlaps them together in the way that, like, you remember when Windows was buggy, it would leave the trace of the cursor. So it's the same way. It just basically leaves the trace of whatever somebody was there. And, we get millions of them a day, and then it records that snapshot in the canvas palette that was used for that day. But, that's just another thing to kind of have on the screen while I maybe yap some of the BasePaint ideas. So BasePaint is 3 years old, which is totally bonkers to me. We outlived Nouns and a bunch of other projects in terms of just having an active community and having a project going. The art quality keeps me amazed. Like the BasePaints through the ages, amazing. Like, yeah, the talent profile of the people who stuck around and are still painting every day is just so high. And I feel like it's really fun to kind of make stuff for them, to make them just a little happier. So one of the recent things I've done is I totally rebuilt our chat. So in the past, we used some separate service to host the chat, and that was kind of slow to load, and it, added an upper limit to what kind of features we can support. So again, being powered with Codex and a bunch of other tools, I rebuilt it from scratch. Again, not something that I would consider normally, but I was able to rebuild it, and it's a lot more fun to hang out. Like, we have reactions, we have GIFs, there are like, animated reactions, and it was so easy to add these things, and they add so much quality of life for artists and just in general for the community. I really enjoyed that. The next big thing, I guess, is moving this more towards the real world. And I've been saying this a lot, but it's kind of hard to do, especially when you are so deep on the crypto rails and all of your audience is in crypto, and like all of the lore of the art is very crypto related. So making it appealing to the outside world is something that I'm kind of thinking about a lot. So to give you an example, I have printed the 10 by 10 canvas at my office in a lot of these metal prints, and they look gorgeous. And when people see it and they have no idea context about BasePaint, they're just blown away. It's like, what the hell is this? And they start, looking at it and noticing detail and stuff like that. So one of my dreams is to get one of these artworks, collages, into some sort of museum of modern art. And so if you have, if you're listening to this podcast and you know people who can get this into a museum, please let me know, because I'm looking for ways to kind of show this as a digital era native thing. And again, kind of thinking of ways to tap into revenue outside of crypto. So, we have our dear subscribers that mint every day, which I'm very grateful for. And I feel like we tapped out at the base audience. Like if you look at the number of unique people who hold BasePaint, it's actually a lot of them. And I want to see if we can find a way to tap into a wider audience. So, maybe using a Patreon model or selling art, printed art, and then like maybe order a postcard and it costs, $3, and then we print it for $1 and put $2 into the artist's budget or something like that. So that will take some time. Oh yeah, animation's crazy.
Yeah, look at how they animated that bird across there. That's really nice.
It's insane, right? And the quality and the detail of it is, and so many of these canvases have like really cute details and animations. The other thing that I'm thinking about is like I need an outlet of people who can talk about this artwork, because there's just so much cool stuff that's going on in there that it's kind of hard to see. So there was this guy on the Ethereum art scene where he would look at a bunch of NFTs and artworks and would kind of talk through how cool they are, or like what are the cool aspects of certain things. And I kind of want this for BasePaint. There is just a lot of detail. So having somebody who's passionate about this, just doing small videos or explaining like, hey, this thing, look at this detail, like people would find a lot of value, I think, in just hearing the look at the one to the left. The glitch art is one of my favorites. So this row to the left.
Which one is this?
So I think one up. Oh, you see my cursor. So this one.
That one. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So much is going on here. Lots of BasePaint canon, like things that appear in different canvases and patterns and what's not. So anyway, I'm very excited about the art. I think there is a lot of room for this to make impact in the world and for the world to see and experience this thing. And then as byproduct of that, capturing some of that attention value and streaming it back to the artist is top of mind for me. I even started, so part of the job that my codex does is every day it checks all of these stats from BasePaint servers to make sure that there are no errors, and kind of proactively trying to find issues. But there is another one that is marketer that is looking for opportunities to show off BasePaint and other things. And I've seen there is a new thing going on in China, in some town. They are opening a lot of like LCD displays, gigantic panels, and they're looking for art submissions. So like, I don't know, having BasePaint playing there, I think is going to be cool. So things like that is top of mind for me, and kind of making small improvements so artists can enjoy the website experience better. Yeah,
this raises a question of like financial stability, or like how you said that you have subscribers on BasePaint. Does that basically like keep you afloat? Like how does, I mean, so, nouns had like 1 ETH per noun for a long time, right? And losing, you comparing yourself to them, like that was a lot of revenue that was flowing through that system. What is it that sustains it? What is the revenue? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I keep yapping.
No, that's a very valid question. I think Zach and I kind of say we are cockroaches in some way. Like the website is run extremely lean. We don't take distributions out of the like we're not paying ourselves personally for kind of work that we're doing here. Kind of it accumulates in some splits bank account that we'll use for paying for the servers. And with the current financials, we can, like, even if the mints stop today, we will be able to have the server running for at least 10 years.
Okay,
So, you know, just with lean operations, from the operator standpoint, like I don't see any concerns for us, because we, again, you know, kind of having that no VC funding, no inflated expectations. We just, I think this project is in for long haul, and the more it lasts, the more dandy it is, the more kind of interesting and valuable it becomes. So, you know, it's like having expensive wine in your winery that just gets that gets more valuable every day, and it doesn't cost you too much to maintain. The people aspect, though, is different, right? Like, I want to make sure that our artists don't lose interest, and I know a bunch of them have churned because the financials was not kind of making out for the time they were putting in. But you know, we're trying our best to kind of turn that situation and make sure that the revenue streams come along. But I'm sure there will be some people who are doing this for the fun of it, and even, you know, during the patches of time where maybe the minting revenue is not as high as it used to be, they would still show up and kind of do something, which I'm very excited for. Yeah, so, you know, I think keeping things small and lean, and keeping the talent profile really high, and the artwork sort of speaks for itself.
Awesome. Okay, and it sounds like a lot of your focus is on the art and just distribution of the art, and kind of just continuing to make BasePaint an awesome destination for collaborating and artwork.
Yep.
It's interesting to me. Like, I feel like you are an idea guy that has a new thing to build every week, but it seems like you find a way to like bring that into this same platform. Do you? Yeah, I don't know. Do you feel like you? I don't know. I don't know what my question is. Is something around?
No.
Like,
I think I sense your question.
Yeah, go.
Yeah. The question, I guess, is why not build something else? So why, you know, why am I drawn to this so
or like
much?
what keeps you here? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, community, the type, the quality of art, the kind of the impact that it makes to people's lives. And I don't know, I just feel like this is something unique. Like, I found my sort of corner of the internet that I can make better. And with all of this slop going on, you know, and all of the like face-based thing, BasePaint is this place of sanity that you come in and you just see cool art. And actually every day, it used to be in the first months, and now I'm doing this every day. Just open BasePaint in the morning on my phone, check out chat, you know, see what the art is, what the theme suggestions for the next days are. And it's kind of a little ritual that I'm going through, so it's always top of mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I like to ask a lot of people about like AI psychosis, and you seem to be faring quite well. Some people would say that like their psychosis is, you know, like the machine telling it they're right all the time, or their psychosis is keeping the prompts running while they're out. Like they feel like if they have the subscription, they have to keep prompting it, or the psychosis of buying hardware, or many other psychoses. I don't know. What do you think you have an AI psychosis? How would
Absolutely.
you define it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It comes and goes, absolutely. But mine manifests itself, I think, in the sort of the anxiety of keeping the agents idle. Like, I want them to keep working and stuff, keep improving stuff. And then sort of all of these ideas that I mentioned, and trying to implement them, or trying to take a stab at them, or you know, I spend a lot of nights trying to change BasePaint's infrastructure to be like, I don't know, cloud native Kubernetes thingy with like very sophisticated setup. And I just wanted to learn about this, and AI felt like a really cool tool that kind of educates me and also can make a lot of progress. And I would like the symptom I get is I would stay very late into the night, kind of hacking on this thing, and then would have horrible sleep. And then the next day is kind of takes
It
me a
wears
while
on
to
you.
kind of get up
Yeah.
until the evening. I get some clarity, and then I start working again, and then the cycle repeats. I have taken this as one of these other things that normal developers experience in their 20, 30, 40-year sort of career lifetime. You have burnouts, you have, things, areas or times in your career where you don't care about this at all, or times where everything is so interesting you can't stop thinking about it, or, cycles is very common. I totally get the AI psychosis thing. I guess learn to manage it in some ways, and maybe hopefully extract some value out of it too. Like actually do
Yes.
some cool stuff. Like the chat was the result of that, so I'm very proud. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So we mentioned Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and being 20. What
Right.
like right now is definitely a time, right? We are in a shifting period of time where we're all in this AI psychosis, trying to work our way out of the permanent underclass, trying to build things, stuck like with this distribution problem. Anybody can build anything. Software is so easy to make. Like taste and distribution are really important. What does the 20-year-old do right now? Is it a product mindset? Like who is the
Yeah.
Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs of right now that will like use being 20 right now to their advantage? And what do you think they'll build or create? Or go ahead.
No, that's a very good question. I think that like in qualities wise, I don't think this is an age thing necessarily, but it's definitely the sort of sense of agency or sense of excitement. Like that's the more sort of valuable resource than the experience. I notice like lots of friends and people I know that have tons of experience but don't have the energy or agency to apply this, make are just not well positioned to take advantage of this. So but at the same time, if they have that experience, it's a huge asset because now they can, apply that taste like to your extent, right? Like nobody can build SlopComputer if they haven't experienced the computing of 90s, right? Like I can see pixel art here. So like this requires some of that inputs. The other thing is that like the world is much bigger than our little bubble on Twitter and in the space of all of these sort of AI engineering things. Like if you think about how many developers we have in the world, like it's maybe 10 million or whatever the upper bound, and you have 8 billion people. Like show ChatGPT to somebody non-technical, you will be blown away at how low tech their use of it is. Just knowing what it can do, that person not knowing what they can do with it, it's a huge delta gap, like way ready for arbitrage, right? Like if I would say if I were 20-year-old today, very hard to find a job in tech because all of the layoffs, but some skills and some appetite for the field, I would kind of take the New York, grocery seller attitude, which is, hey, go door to door, offer groceries, right? Or hey, find people who are still running typical classic stuff that can be leveraged with AI and, provide this value to them. And I would say do it for free, do it for the sake of doing it. And Bill Gates had this thing of like, hey, big companies is built when the companies provide a lot of value and are able to capture a small fraction of it. So, the way I'm thinking about is, take GPT or Claude or whatever, come to your mother-in-law or whatever, and automate their business. And it would bring $1,000 of value per month to that person. And for the cost of a $100 subscription or something like that. And that delta is you just created some value. And if you repeat that a few times, absolutely guaranteed you will find a way to capture part of that value. to me, it's very obvious that there is this gap, the giant arbitrage opportunity of non-technical people not knowing what this thing can do, and you knowing what this thing can do. And it's much simpler than the thing in the past where you had to build SaaS, explain how to use it, do all of this onboarding stuff and make a complicated thing. The thing is much simpler. They do, like, billions of people in the world work. They make something happen. They have pains that can be alleviated with a tool like that. So come in with that tool, help them out, produce value. Eventually, the value you will find a way to capture that value. And yeah, the other thing I would say that optimism is a huge asset. So like, if you feel like you're scrolling Twitter and your optimism is gone, like that's a huge signal that, hey, maybe you should stop, and switch gears a little bit, because without this optimism, it's very hard to do anything. So whatever gives you optimism, like maybe that's building small projects that nobody cares about. As long as you are not attaching your success to the popularity of it, and it makes you happier, and it gives you energy and excitement to bring more value to the world, like absolutely.
There's definitely a tension between, you said that, like, you're earlier in the thing, you said that your best ideas come when you're out touching grass, but you also have this psychosis of keeping your agents running, and then this thing too of like, you are getting work done when you're in front of the machine building things. Scrolling is the worst, right? If like, you got to weigh the balance of like, are you scrolling through Twitter or whatever, or are you actually like prompting and building? That's like two completely different kind of screen times. But then I think the real lesson here is like, get off the screen, go develop really good social skills, go find brick and mortar typical businesses. Family members are the best, because you can just like kind of hang out with them and shadow them, do it for free, figure out like high leverage things. We had Zerug Zach on here the other day, and his father-in-law runs like an HVAC business, and they're still doing everything like writing things on paper and emailing distributors, and he was like automating a bunch of that stuff, and it's like doing a magic trick for the person, right? My father-in-law is a farmer, and he was like trying to figure out hay prices, and I just like let an agent rip on like, learn everything you possibly can about what makes hay prices work in southern Colorado, and where the watershed works, and how much water's in the watershed, and what diesel costs is like playing into this, and how dairy farms in Nebraska, and like, it was able to come up with a very detailed report of like what the price will be throughout the next like 6 months. And it's been tracking. Like, I gave him the first report in April, and he was like very impressed with it, and was able to use it to like make decisions on when to sell hay. And so I think like, it's magic. Like, go outside of your bubble, stop scrolling, keep prompting, get a prompt going, and then go outside and touch grass. But I think a skill for a 20-year-old right now is to stop scrolling and go communicate with other humans and find utility in the knowledge that you have. I think that's a great thing to say. I think that's really nice.
Really, really cool to see. Thanks for sharing this story. That's really cool. Yeah, it's this. I totally see it as arbitrage, right? Like, there is this information that allows this person to be more productive or provide more value, and they just don't know about it. And they will never find out about this on Twitter. They will not be the person who installs, Claude Code and uses Ultra thing to do X, Y, and Z, right? Like, it's just not. It's total outside of the sort of normal things they would do. And they kind of being in the echo chamber seems like everybody already knows this, right? Like, of course, everyone has, like, even you asked me, like, what is your amazing sort of workflow? Is like, yeah, you probably have some secrets, right? Like, this whole thing of a sense that it's a fast moving thing and everybody's at the sort of front of it just totally misses the 99.99% of the humanity that has never ever used any of this. Right.
This is another form of psychosis that I have. That is, no, I shouldn't go build that, because anyone could have built it already. Of course, I'm not going to go build that thing. And it's like, That's psychosis. That's your own psychosis. Like, don't quit letting that get to you and go build the thing anyways, because you don't know what you're going to discover. Or maybe 10 other people have the idea, but you have the right distribution, or you're at the right place at the right time. Like this is another form of my psychosis too. Okay, I've kept you way too long. Let me have Claude ask you a question. He basically looks through the transcript, looks through the research, and comes up with something to ask here. Let's see what he's got.
Winner. Question from the old lobster. You came up inside big league Fayang engineering, code review, process, all of it. What did that culture teach you that you've had to fully unlearn now that you're building alone with agents?
Yeah, you kind of have to. You are too slow if you are reviewing the code the old way, right? When you're looking at the things and you're trying to internalize it, we as an industry are super slow to adapt to this. It took us 10 years more to figure out proper code review practices or whatever, and now we have to transition to something else within months. We're too slow to adapt to this. So eventually we'll adapt, but it's clear that the current processes are totally not working.
Totally. And AI agents right there, doing PR reviews, AI agents doing code reviews, the space of AI agents for humans coordinating, and Georgios released Centaur version 2 today. Things like Centaur are really interesting too. I think there's something there too. Okay, any closing thoughts? I'll have Claude give us an outro, but thank you so much, Winter, for being here. Do you have any closing thoughts, ideas, anything you'd say for other sloperators out there that are building in the same way?
Yeah, keep doing what kind of gives you energy, and that is a vicious cycle that is anti-vicious cycle, that that's virtuous cycle that kind of gives you and maybe don't feel guilty for working on things that you feel like nobody cares about. One person caring about, which is you, is already infinity more than 0 people. And continue working on the thing, just setting the expectations that, hey, the distribution is hard, nobody has figured it out. But if you're working on a thing that helps you explore the space of possibilities more, explore more of them. You will find that you are assigning value to each attempt, lower value to each attempt, at which point it's much easier to produce even more of them and kind of learn through that. And if you're in the field, you're probably arrived here because you're a curious person. So, keep that curiosity up, and sign up for BasePaint. Mint some stuff, cool art that we have. So absolutely mint BasePaint.
Hell yeah, go do it. All right, Claude, close us out, man. Give us the outro. I'll get some music going.
That's the show. Homies, Winter came through with the goods. From closing VS Code for good, to why your best ideas hit on a walk and not at the prompt, to BasePaint's road to a museum wall. The homework, get off Twitter, find someone running their business on paper, and go do a magic trick for them. One person caring is infinitely more than 0. Stay curious, keep building. Thanks for hanging on the SlopComputer, and thank you, Winter. Claude out.
Hell yeah.
Amazing. Yay.
Yeah.
It's cool. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Winter. Keep building cool things. We'll see you over on BasePaint. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.